what role does the bar have to play in this conversation and in clawing back some of the public trust that has been lost in our judicial system?
The bar should speak up, but when we say the bar, we mean not just the lawyers in a particular case. That is seen as illegitimate. Judge X does something, and the lawyer who was on the right side will speak in his or her favor. The bar, that is to say, the broader community, has to speak out when there is an absolute false account of what a judge did, has to speak out when there's an unfair attack on a judge. And you can't rely on the individuals in the case because they lack a certain legitimacy. I was very aggressive in correcting the record if I thought the reporters got it wrong. And I remember driving to work one day. I had a desegregation case, which was very contested in the city of Boston, not the major one, but one that came afterwards. And I was driving along, and all of a sudden I heard on the radio, Judge Gertner granted class action status to a group of prisoners, women prisoners, and denied it to white kids. I pulled over. I thought I was going to have a coronary. Fact of the matter is that the lawyer in question had not moved for class action status in the case involving the desegregation case at all. That was going to come down the line, but he had not yet moved. I mean, this was just sort of flat out wrong. He said it to the reporter, and the reporter, just regurgitated it. I told my staff to send him to send to every outlet in the city what the actual docket was. Then there was a problem. The lawyer who was covering this, one of the reporters was covering this, was new and didn't know what he was doing. He called me up and he said, wait for it, what's a class action? I said, talk to the lawyers in the case, look it up, don't ask me. But it was 4:30, he couldn't find anyone, he was about to issue the story. It mattered to me very much that this was accurate because this was a highly contested case. The court did not have a press office, which would have been where this would have been clarified. So I said to him, describe what a class action was, and I said to him, suffice it to say, one case was more complicated than the other. That's all I said. That Monday, the plaintiffs moved to disqualify me. I wrote an opinion saying that this is not disqualifying, this is clarifying. They took it up to the First Circuit, and I was disqualified. This happened in about 2008. The courts of appeals have to look at this differently. And in order to keep judges from being in that situation, there has to be a press office in the court. Not a press office to say Judge Gertner was fabulous, even though I was, but to say, here's what she's doing and here's an explanation, because half the time the reporters who are covering this really don't know what they're talking about. So that's a problem.
How should judges be thinking proactively about this kind of PR aspect and this effective communication aspect of doing their jobs in a new media world?
There ought to be a press office that would issue a correction to the influencer on Substack or Blue Sky or wherever it is. There has to be a correction, and the correction has to come from a legitimate source. I would correct myself because I had no choice, but it would be far better to have a press office. So there's a distinction between sort of flat-out factual errors or flat-out legal errors or a misunderstanding of the relationship between the courts. That needs to be corrected by a press office or a press officer. I saw that so many times. We're in one sense, we're in a better space than we were 20 years ago because after the pandemic, reporters could see streaming court proceedings. In other words, you didn't have to physically go to the courthouse. One reporter could cover multiple proceedings and has the ability then to see it in real time. The streaming continued for litigants, but stopped for the public, unless the public specifically asked to be on this case or that. So that has to be more widely offered. As I said, we have to work for our legitimacy. It's no longer enough to put on a robe and expect that people will say, Your Honor, and it will stop there. You have to earn it.